Alright, this is Excel Project Module 7. Let's start off with number 1. In cell E5, enter a formula using the HLOOKUP function to look up the call type according to the call code. Okay, so in cell E5, this one, enter a formula using HLOOKUP. What I normally do, I go here, I type in this search box, HLOOKUP, hit enter, and it's going to give you the 1. So in this function arguments, lookup values, what do you want to look up? The call code, which is this right here. Alright, and then table array, where do you want Excel to look it up? In the question, range A3 to F4 in the survey question worksheet. So I'm gonna make sure my pointer is right here at the table array. Go to survey questions, highlight from A3 to F4. Okay, next one, where do you want Excel to look it up? Which row? So at that, in the table, in the survey question, and even in the question, they ask you to look up at the row number 2. So number 2 need to be there. So hit OK. That's what it is. So at first I got kind of weird feeling why this is 7 and give you that feature request, and in the survey question tab there's no call type number 7 or code number 7, but it's actually is the range. So I guess between 6 and before 11, that's feature request and so on. So that's why everything here is filled out accordingly. Alright, so that was number 1. Number 2, in cell J5, enter a formula using average function. Structure references to average the values in the question 1 to question 4 columns of the call table. So the tricky about this exercise is everything that you do, all the function you need to use the structure reference. That is why you see in this formula, you see a lot of brackets here. It's call code that you don't see anything like the cells number, like this one D5 or something like that. Every formula in this work, in this project, you need to use the feature. I'm sorry, what is it called? You need to use the structure reference that we learned in module 6. So for the to calculate the average, um, again I go here, I insert in formula tab, I hit an insert function. At the search for function, I type in average because I'm lazy to scroll down this whole thing. Hit go, and boom, that is what I'm looking for. Click OK. So it's gonna ask me what range of number that we need to do the average for. So in this case, I normally click this up arrow so that it can give me some rooms here to select what I need to select, and click question 1, drag it to question 4. So here's the thing. If you do that, you will see the add icon here, and what it's gonna tell you is it's just gonna do the average for the first question, which is 3.75, and if I hit OK, it might do the job of spreading down the remainings of the table. So let's try to hit OK and see what it does. So it's actually calculate everything in this column J. I'm not sure what's going on here. This might be some sort of error by Excel. So, but it's already calculated. Okay, let's see if we're missing anything. Fill the formula into range J6 to J143 if necessary, which in this case, Excel's already did that job for me, so I don't have to go through that process. Next, number 3, in cell M5, enter a formula using COUNTIF function and a structure reference to the service rep columns in the call table to count the number of calls Barry cell L5 handle. Fill the formula into the range. Okay, so in order to do that, so cell M5, which is this one right here, they want to know how many calls Barry has made between this time frame. So using the function COUNTIF, I highly recommend using the insert function button if you don't know, if you are not a professional at those function yet, because it's going to help you out a lot. So COUNTIF, it's going to tell you what range and what criteria that we need Excel to count. So for the range, here is we're gonna do a little bit different, right? Because let me show you what I did and why it's failed me. So at first, for the range, I select the rep name, right here, Wagner. I click that, and then criteria. Of course, I want to look up for Barry. Okay, and the result is gonna give me 0 because if we select just Wagner, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. If we select just this person or this cell, it's gonna just calculate the that one cell that and Barry's name is not in that cell. So what I do, and you also notice, is give you the structure of the structure reference, but it's also come with an at icon here. That's what that's why it's only call out the name of Wagner. So what we need to do here is, instead of doing that, we'll select Wagner and then hit Control, Shift, and down key. So it's gonna select everything. So you don't have to, instead of clicking here, Wagner, and then scroll all the way down, hit Shift, and click here. It's gonna do the same thing, but to save you times, all you do is Control. So you click this, hit Control, Shift, and down. That's gonna select everything in that have data in that column. So, and then of course the criteria remain the same, which is in this case we are at M5. So we're looking for Barry's calls that he made during January and March. So that criteria remains there as Barry. And now you will see the difference. You start seeing counts, the number of calls that Barry made, which is 20. And once I hit OK, Excel either will or will not fill out the rest for me. If it doesn't, all I do is I hold this, I move my cursor to the right corner, drag it down, but also keep in mind the question asks you to fill the formula into the range without formatting. So after I click and drag, I go here, autofill options, I select fill without formatting. And there you go. That's what the question asks you to do. Next is to calculate the average score of each personnel. Number 4, in cell N5, enter a formula using average if function and structure references to the service rep and average columns in the call table to average the scores Barry received for all the calls he handled. Okay, so now we'll do the same thing. We'll go ahead and click here in cell N5, insert function. I'll search for average if and hit OK. The range that I need is from Wagner, again, Control Shift down. That is 1. I click this button to expand that table again. Criteria, I will go back to L5, which is Barry's name, right? Average range, which is this column right here, column J. I'll do the same thing. If I just click this one, it's gonna give me just that score right there. So I'll do Control Shift and down. So it's gonna give me all the average in that data table. Hit OK. It's gonna return me that score, and it doesn't automatically fill out the rest for me. So I have to do once again. Hit click that and drag. See that button? Click that. Fill without formatting. That's what the question is asking you for. So that was number 4. Number 5, in cell A3, insert, I'm sorry, I should have started from the beginning. Go to call type by rep worksheet. Okay. In cell A3, insert a pivot table based on the calls table. Use rep calls as the name of the pivot table. Display the service rep names as column headings and call types as both rows and heading values. Okay, so I'll move that over there. So call type by rep worksheet is a blank one. We only have the logos and the heading. So they want us to insert a pivot table. So all you do is insert pivot table, right? Table range. And the question is asking you to use the calls table, which is the customer call log, right? So the table range, of course, you're gonna first you should click this one, go to customer call logs, and everything in here. So you click that A4, scroll down, shift, and select that. So you will see is apparently show the table's name. So that's another shortcut that you can do. If you remember the name of the table, all you do is type in that name, right? So expand that, and then it's gonna ask me where the location. In this case, we want it to be at the call type by rep worksheet. All we do here is just click OK. And right now, it's just gonna give you a few pivot table fields that you need to select which table you want to see. In this question, it's want you to rename the pivot table as rep calls. So here's where you can rename your pivot table. So I'll change that to rep calls. Okay, click it off, and boom. Display the requirements ask you to display the service rep names as column headings. Service rep is this one, and they want it to be at the columns. So I'll click this, hold, and drag it to column. You start seeing things there. Second requirements is to add the call types to both rows, heading, and values. So we have rows, we have values, and call types is this one. So we'll drag one to here, and we'll drag another one to values. Okay, so that was number 5. Number 6 is pretty much like a formatting requirement. So they want us to apply a light yellow pivot style medium 12 to the pivot table. Center the data in the range of B4 to K10 to make it easier to read. All right. So apply the formatting to the styles to your pivot table. All you do is go up here on the design tab, click design. You see a lot of pivot table styles here. Click the drop down, and the question is giving you the hint that you need to look for the medium styles. So I'll go here at this area, and we'll start looking for the light yellow pivot style medium. And so here it is. If you move your cursor around, it's going to give you the name of that styles. So I'll click that. And then the second requirement is to make everything from range B4 to K10 to be center. So I'll highlight that, go to homes, and click center. Not sure why they don't want to do. Oh, I think I know why. Okay, so B4 to K10 center. Okay, cool. That was number 6. Number 7, return to customer call log worksheet and then change the call code in cell D10 to 12, which assign a call to Bruno in the how to category. Go to the call type by rep worksheet and refresh the data in the pivot table. Why are they asking us to do that? Here's why. They don't see Bruno giving any call, having any calls for the how to issue, right? So they want to give Bruno something. So they want us to go back here to the call logs, and then in cell D10, changing 18 to number 12. Automatically, the call type will be switched to how to. So go back to the call type by rep. It's still showing nothing here. What you need to do is you need to go to data and hit refresh. Now the number will start appearing here that Bruno has one call for how to. Okay. Next question, number 8. Go to the scores by date worksheet. In cell A3, insert another pivot table based on the calls table. Use a score as the name of pivot table. Okay. Let's move it here. Score by date. And they want us to start inserting the pivot table on cell A3, which is here. Again, go to insert pivot table. Now we need to know the range. Number 8 asking us to based on the call table. So pretty much the same table here for the customer call logs. So I'm not gonna go back and forth to do that. So, and I remember the name of the table. So all I'll do here is type in calls and hit OK. All right. The name of the pivot table is scores. So I'll change it here to score. Hit enter. It's gonna change right here. Next requirement is to display the date values as the column headings. So column headings, and they want to display the date values. Date is here, so I'm just gonna click and drag to column. Automatically it's gonna give you the date and month. Leave it as is. Next is display the service rep names as row headings. Display the service rep name. So this one to the row. And then last is the average score data as values. Average score, which is this one, to the values. There you go. That was number 8. Number 9, change the summary function to average for the data in the values area. Apply the number format with 2 decimal places to those values. Change the summary function to average. Okay, so what it's asking you to do is, right now all the number you see here is a sum. They want to change it to average. So what you need to do here is to go here on the values, right click. Oh, I should have done that. Okay, click into that drop down arrow and then value field setting. So here you can change from sum to average. That's number 1 requirement. Number 2 is to change the format to 2 decimal places. So you click here at the number format, you go to number and keep it right here where it said 2 decimal places. Click OK, click OK again, boom. That was number 9. Number 10, in cell A3, use the text average scores to identify the values. Cell B3, use the text month to identify the columns headings. Cell A5, use the text service reps to identify the row headings. Okay? The reason is they're asking us to do that right now is because everything here is still showing it just like a plain labels from created by Excel. So we want to rename them. You can click there first of cell A3 from average of average to average score. Next is cell B3, which is, if you hit tab, you will see that columns labels. You want to change that to months. Enter. And then next is cell A5, which is row label right here. You want to change that to service rep. Oops. And also here they want you to apply a light yellow pivot style medium 12 to the pivot table. So again, you're in here at the pivot table, hit design, click the drop down, go to the mediums, and then select the light yellow pivot style medium 12. And there you go. Okay, number 11. Okay, she's going to focus on calls involvement. Create a slicer. They want to have a slicer for the score pivot table based on the call type field. Resize the slicer to a height of 2.5 inch. Alright, so just like inserting a pivot table, you also go to the Insert tab to insert a slicer. In this case, you go to Insert tab, you go to Slicer right here, click Slicer, and then it's asking you to pull the score pivot table based on the call types. So they want to see this table, call type, and hit OK. There you go. Alright, next is to make it to resize the slicer to the height of 2.5 inch. Since you are clicking this, since you have selected this, you can also format the size of the slicer. The height is up here, the width is down here. So they want 2.5 inch. Type in 2.5 is default. The unit is inch. So there you go, 2.5 inch. Next requirements is to move the slicer to its upper left corner in the in so its upper left corner is in the cell F3. So this one moving to F3. So the upper left corner, this one, going to F3, and then lower right corner is in cell G14. G here, 14 is here. We are actually a little bit below 14, so move it up a little bit and move it out. Okay, that was number 11. Next, number 12, create a timeline slicer based on the date field in the score pivot table. All right, another slicer is needed. Again, go to Insert, go here to the right, click Slicer. What happened here? Oh, I know what I did. You should have clicked out of this slicer that you have from the beginning. So I'll cancel this, click to my pivot table, again, Insert, Slicer. And now they want to see the date field. This one, check that, click OK. All right. So resize the slicer to a width of 7 inch. So the width need to go out 7. Okay, let me redo this. I did something wrong here. Delete. Okay, click Insert. Oh, I see what I did wrong. They want a timeline slicer, not the regular slicer. This is the regular slicer. Timeline is this one right here. Also under the Insert tab. Click there. The only one you have is date. Click OK. All right. While you're having it up at the Design tab, so you want to change the width to 7th inch. It's gonna give you that. And so next is to move the upper left corner in within cell A16. So move here to here, there. And then lower right corner in cell G23. So this guy moving here. Okay. Use the timeline slicer to show data for February only. So click on February because they just want to see February. And also another requirement from number 11 that I missed was to use the slicer filter the score pivot table by the text problem call type only. So you see all of these was highlighted. So right now they just want to see for the text problem. So all we do is click text problem. For example, if they want to see more than just text problem, you click one, hold Control key, and click the another one. That will give you 2 or more options. If you want to remove the filter, click that filter with the X, and it's going to go back to normal, which is selecting everything. For the requirements, they just want to see the text problem. And again, for the timeline slicer, they just want to see February. So that was it. Last requirement is to reassign column B and C to 12. center the data in the range B3 to C15. So resize columns B and C. Click B, drag it to C, or you can click B, hit Control, and click C, right? You go to Format at the Home tab, go to Format, and then select column width. Enter number 12 here, click OK or hit Enter. It's gonna resize that for you. And next is they want you to center the data in range B3 to C15. Click center and done. All right, that was all. And you know, at the end of each project, she will have some snapshot here that you can take a look to make sure that everything you did is pretty much the same as she did. So make sure you go through that again and make sure everything is correct. All right, best of luck.